So Albert Einstein, of course, was a great physicist, had this notion of the unified field, special relativity, general relativity. But these quotes of Albert Einstein really convey the man and how he thought, and I think reveal the source of his genius, really, where he was coming from, and how it was really that he was able to come up with these incredible theories and these profound insights into the nature of life and existence. He said, a man should look for what is and not for what he thinks should be. Now you hear that, and, oh yeah, oh, I get that. And, well, it's not so easy because we become so identified with the way we've been told the world is, the way we think the world should be, that it's difficult to see beyond it. There's even a study in physiology where they study all the information that comes into the eye, and then it gets filtered, and only a small percentage of it comes out into our awareness through the cerebral cortex. And the reason for that is programming. It's conditioning. It's seeing the world how we think it should be, and kind of not even perceiving, not even computing, not even noticing all the rest. It doesn't even register, you see? So it sounds like a very obvious quote on the surface, but when you think about it, it's very, very profound. He said, when asked if a sunset could be described in terms of pure physics, Albert Einstein said yes. He had no doubt that it could. But if it were, he said it would lose its meaning. See, coming from a physicist, that's beautiful, and it relates to this first quote so nicely. Because here he is, he studied physics hard, he learned physics hard stuff, but it didn't limit his mind. He didn't take it and project it onto the world in a way where he saw nothing else. And he understood, because he wasn't lost to that identity with that one paradigm, that one viewpoint. He understood that a sunset, yeah, it can be described in pure physics, but there's much more to it. If you just see it in terms of pure physics, it loses its meaning. There are only two ways to look at life, he said. One is that everything is a miracle. The other is nothing is a miracle. It's a miracle, isn't it? I mean, just pick up a little stone and pebble and look at it. It's just incredible. Everything is a miracle. On the other hand, when we talk about miracles and, think about a miracle, somebody walks on water or flies through the air, whatever. Those aren't miracles in a sense that they defy physics, that they defy nature. They're mastery over nature. Miracles don't contradict science. They're mastery of principles of science that by and large society isn't aware how to overcome them. So when they see it done, it's a miracle. Nothing's a miracle. On the other hand, everything is a miracle. You see? Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind. I wish scientists could hear that. I know they've all read it, but they don't live it. Sir Isaac Newton talked about how our knowledge is so limited. It goes so far beyond our little piece of knowledge that we've gained. And that's still true today. But if we limit our understanding of life to what it is we've taken on as the paradigm of truth, you see, then we reject all these other ideas, all these other principles. We live in a time now, though, where we can amalgamate so many different fields of knowledge that appear to contradict. And one lends insight into the other. Now, I'm not saying all religions, and I'm sure Einstein isn't either. Because some religions, there's superstition, there's all kinds of things. But we can separate the wheat from the chaff, and we can take on a paradigm that doesn't contradict religion, but harmonizes with it, gives a new level of insight into it, and gives a profound appreciation of life. A sunset can be described in terms of pure physics, but it loses its meaning. All of life can be explained in terms of pure physics. But if you do that, it loses its meaning. So we have to get past this place where we identify with one paradigm at the exclusion of all other paradigms. And that's basically the history of humanity, isn't it? His attitude was so beautiful. He said, the important thing is to not stop questioning. You have to question everything. You have to look deeper. Scientists tend to not question science. A lot of religions consider it blasphemy to question the current understanding of the spiritual teachings. But Einstein says you never stop questioning. You constantly have to look deeper. Like I say, to live better, you have to look deeper. Never stop questioning. He said, I have no special talent other than that I am passionately curious, he said. To me, without curiosity, life is stagnant. I think the most wonderful emotion is fascination. Fascination with anything. Really, love is a form of fascination, isn't it? So to be passionately curious, to constantly pursue, to constantly question, it gives meaning to life. It makes life beautiful. It makes life rich. He says it's a miracle that curiosity survives formal education. Because really, when you think about it, education is indoctrination. Oh, you're a great physicist if you can repeat these formulas and do these formulas and get these calculations and get it right. But it's an indoctrination. A colleague of Albert Einstein was Emanuel Lasker. He was a mathematician, but best known for chess world champion. And he said a similar thing. He said, I spent the last half of my life trying to forget what I learned in the first half. What he was really talking about there is getting past the indoctrination. Now all this is good, don't get me wrong, learning physics or whatever field and getting all that is good, but not if you use it in a way and take it on in a way where you put on blinders and you become indoctrinated in one paradigm and everything else is just foolishness, and that becomes the attitude, you see. Or it can. Okay. Few are those who see, another beautiful quote, few are those that see with their own eyes and feel with their own hearts. I mean, why is that so hard, you might wonder. It's because of how we're programmed and we're indoctrinated and we're conditioned to think we're limited. We call that education. It's not education if it goes to the point where you can't even any longer see with your own eyes and feel with your own heart. You're dancing to the piper's tune, huh? Okay. Everything that is really great and inspiring is created by the individual who can labor in freedom. See, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about freedom, not rebellion, not, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be, go my own direction and all like that, think outside the box and all that. No, but it's a physiological state. It's a state of freedom. And that's where genius comes from. That's where great things come from. They're inspired from that level. Everything that is really great and inspiring is created by an individual living in freedom, you see? Freedom of mind, freedom of awareness, freedom of consciousness, freedom from indoctrination, freedom from rules. Not rebellion. Not rebellion. We can still respect convention. There is value there. There are guiding lights for people, but not to be lost to it, to the expense of your own freedom, you see? Freedom of your own mind. The true value of a human being is determined primarily by the measure and the sense in which he has attained to liberation from the self. Okay, now this is interesting. Einstein talks about the self a little differently than I do. I talk about there's two levels of the self. There's the personality self, which is largely a function of superficial self, we could say, which is largely a function of indoctrination. And then there's the true self, which is that place which can awaken to that level where you are one with all the source of all knowledge. It's a Vedantic philosophy. Einstein, interestingly enough, was into Vedanta. He even learned Sanskrit, I understand, talked to Vedantic scholars and like that. But when he talks then about being free from the self, he's talking about freedom from the superficial self. And he does that often. He speaks to the self in that way. And I get that because most people, when they think of the self, they don't think of this profound transcendental self that is the source of all knowledge and like that. Even though he was definitely onto that, and then this is beautiful. But I think we'll take a break here, and we'll do it next. We'll talk about imagination.